Alright, folks, this is Acid Root. So I'm going to review JB's latest project. Now, this project, uh, unfortunately, is one of the last tastes of JB that we've gotten for a while. I mean, he's still technically around, and he has communicated with Jackal Goldkick, who I communicate with, but the thing about it is from a taste of what he had said, I can give like a faint taste of that. Basically, he had said that doing the same thing despite uh, not making any sort of progress whatsoever is the definition of insanity. And basically, to kind of take that a step forward, we look at it and it's kind of the product of what's been going on these days. Now, if JB was thinking that back in 2018, 2016, or even further back, just imagine how that sort of stuff is in 2021, which is definitely kind of the concept here. You deal with some of the stuff that happens in 2021, the pandemic, the lack of shipments nowadays as of September or so there's not products going across the United States. You've got other things. I'm trying to think, just the sheer run. I mean, rap is completely ran by trap right now, and the radio is only really picking like the number ones, twos, and threes out there. So there's not a lot of room. I mean, unfortunately, like a second or third single that hits like 35 or 55 on the Billboard 100 is not treated within the same. So we look at JB, and obviously he's flustered on this project, and it almost kind of feels like he's kind of saying, fuck it if that happens to be how it goes. And yeah, I mean, you understand it from that sense. I look at like the type of music that I've seen on this project, and JB consistently continued to improve. And I mean, he sounds really refined on this project. I think he dropped at least two singles. I want to guess that Hip Hop Bliss and My Town were the singles, and both of those were pretty damn good. And that's the thing about it. My Town is a really excessively good club song. Hip Hop Bliss kind of felt more of just like cruising song, kind of. I mean, that one felt more like it should have been named My Town, just on the basic approach of it. But I would still have to say, yeah. So Hip Hop Bliss is a West Coast song, and it's another. If you're looking for another West Coast song by JB, he also does the song You Know What Time It Is, both of which had a West Coast feel to them, and I appreciated both of those songs. I'm glad that JB is good at that. I mean, it's definitely a skill set. Some rappers are good at smoking songs, some rappers are good at car songs, some rappers are good at R&B flavored songs like Drake or something like that. But I'm glad that JB can pull off this type of song, and it kind of reminds me of like a light version of the Chronic almost, maybe the Chronic 2001. It's kind of the thing there that goes along with that. But as far as like the rest of the project kind of goes, I mean, really, this is a brief project, and that's too bad considering that JB has not been here since early 2018. So it's kind of almost like you wonder where exactly what happened and then what to think about it from there. But I'm going to go ahead and list the 5 songs out of 7 that I enjoyed to recommend. So I'm going to talk about the Hip Hop Bliss intro, Hip Hop Bliss, the title track, My Town, Thinking About You, and then You Know What Time It Is. So Thinking About You kind of reminded me of like some manic Eminem song that he would have done from back in the day, and it's kind of contemplative in a lot of ways. You Know What Time It Is felt like another club record. I mean, JB put some club records on here, so he has as much of a good time as much as he kind of has more thoughts on his mind on here. Like Here Today, Gone Tomorrow, despite that being a more kind of seemingly personal type song, it kind of feels more. I mean, it almost feels manic, but then it's that's kind of the thing about it. So, um, but then Love Me was kind of a deeper song also. So I kind of thought, I was sticking close to like some of these, but I also like the intro, which was another thing here. So, um, yeah, I like the intro. It felt like JB kind of has something on his mind. It felt like he wasn't too candid this time around. And really, it's called Hip Hop Bliss, but in the intro, it felt kind of like the opposite of that. So it was just kind of, maybe it was underneath the process. Maybe that's what he meant. Ignorance is bliss. Hip Hop Bliss kind of means almost like, the blissness of just paying attention to the music that you notice firsthand rather than some of these other things, which is just kind of, I mean, that's understandable to kind of say, JB is not wholesomely mainstream, but just to kind of say there's a lot of good records here that you can find, and it is pretty a rather thorough project, just to say on top of that. So it's kind of the thing there. Yeah, I definitely liked My Town. Definitely liked You Know What Time It Is. Enjoyed Thinking About You, and Hip Hop Bliss was a good one. So yeah, so I would have to give this record. I'm gonna give this record either an 8.5 or a 9. I mean, I feel like, yeah, I'll give it an 8.5. I'm gonna go ahead and say, um, I liked what I heard on this project. I mean, I like the fact that I like the intro also. Um, yeah, I mean, the bad thing about it is JB's discomfort with the music industry and kind of like the occupational side of things makes things kind of, where it's like, damn, I mean, you're rooting for him because you're like, yeah, I agree with you about this, but unfortunately, you have to let that, I mean, it just kind of feels like, I mean, what can you do? I mean, that's just the whole situation. I mean, the radio has the direction that it's kind of going in, but I mean, we did get several good projects out of JB, and that's kind of the situation even further. I look at some of these things like, um, yeah, I mean, and really the problem with like internet rappers is just the fact that you don't really know. I mean, he doesn't really update his Twitter and that sort of stuff, so it's just kind of like, as far as talking about the future, it's not really too much of like a thorough direction that you can really go in, so you do have to kind of seek him out in order to find things. But just as far as that kind of goes, this is quality music. I still recommend Remember My Name. I still recommend West Coast Symphony. I still recommend Life is Offensive, some of the projects I've reviewed. So there's plenty of good stuff here, and I'm glad that like JB is balanced. That's definitely the thing. I'm glad that there's not like, 2 or 3 albums that are just crap or mediocre or something, that we continue to get like this sort of gesture from JB as far as pumping out good music. So that's definitely the good thing there. So yeah.